Well, yes, this is the special address enabling healthcare through digitalization and AI, ladies and gentlemen. And well, as I said, there is an enthusiastic speaker who's waiting backstage to take the limelight right on the stage. We'll be welcoming the Senior Vice President and Head of Special Projects, CTO from Siemens Healthineers. Well, Mr. Gerd Hoefner would be joining us. Good, firstly, namaste to you, and please tell us before you as you take up the stage, from where have you joined us? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Shika, and well, also thanks a lot for inviting me for the presentation. I'm joining you from Europe, from Rome to be precise. And as you already mentioned, I'll be talking about enabling healthcare through digitalization and AI in the next 15 minutes. And let me start with a quote by Mark Andreessen. He's an investor best known as co-founder of the Netscape and as a co-founder and general partner of the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. And he said in an interview back in August 2011, so 10 years ago, that software is eating the world. And what he meant with this is that more and more major businesses and industries are being run on software delivered as online services, from movies to agriculture, national defense. And over the next 10 years, he also said he expects many more industries to be disrupted by software. And if you look today at what kind of industries have been disrupted by software, besides what is mentioned here, movies, agriculture, and so on and so forth, I mean, best examples are the music industry or booking of hotels, flights, everything. I mean, you have portals like booking.com for hotels, Airbnb, or if you look at the cab business, you have Ola cab services in India and Uber across the globe. And those industries really have been disrupted by software. Healthcare, I wouldn't necessarily say that it has been disrupted by software, so software hasn't been eating the healthcare business, but that also has a specific reason, because the ultimate challenge for digitalization is healthcare. And for a variety of reasons. Number one, when we talk about healthcare, it's about human lives, it's about human beings. It's about trust, about privacy. I mean, if you have, let's say, a disease, you not necessarily would like to get everybody to know your disease history. So all these kind of topics that are related to healthcare should be kept under highest privacy. You have complex interconnections, established structures, hospitals, pharma companies, doctors, and so on and so forth. So it's a very, very complex ecosystem. And well, all the topics like what I've mentioned before, lives, trust, privacy, make it the ultimate challenge for digitalization. However, over the last years, intelligent machines powered by AI have changed healthcare already. If you look at it today, we have automated product solutions that minimize unwarranted variations. Machines help, for example, in the positioning of patients. If you need to do a scan, it also depends on the individual person, how the patient has to be positioned. There are task and procedure-specific integrations required. And this is something which is taken over today by, well, automated machines. And tomorrow we will also have intelligence machines that enable precision decision-making, real-time decision supporting. We will also have machine learning powered image reconstruction, post-processing, and also bidirectional interaction of hardware and algorithms to design operations, and so on and so forth. In the future, we will have a connected intelligence that will expand healthcare's availability. And if we look at this today, tomorrow, future, some of those things we already have today in our portfolio. For the automation, here I have a few examples. For the automation, we have something that is called Syngo Virtual Cockpit, which is a remote scanning assistant, improving access and provider productivity. And with the Syngo Virtual Cockpit, you will become a more flexible, will have a more flexible deployment of experienced persons across different locations. The level of standardization in reports will become significantly higher, which will also lead to more accurate diagnosis. And of course, it also improves the facility productivity, especially in case of personal shortages, because you still can operate the modalities at the highest possible capacity through the support of the remote scanning assistance. When it comes to more than automation, that would be, for example, workflow automation, we have something already today which is called AI Red Companion Platform. The Red stands for radiology. It's an AI-based software assistance for image reading. And what it does, it automatically highlights anatomies and abnormalities of multi-organ areas, including also incidental findings in images. Those findings then will be transferred in structural reading reports. And typically, the AI Red companions are organ-specific or body part-specific and modality-specific. So the first application we launched is the chest CT reader. And of course, we are working on multiple of such kind of companions for X-ray, for CT, for MR, and like I said, different parts and different organs. And the next step would be, let's say, the machine learning applied to support decision making in diagnosis, in therapy decision, and then also supporting throughout the complete pathway for therapy and follow-up. And this is what we call our AI Pathway Companion platform. It integrates relevant data, facilitate the diagnosis as well as the therapy decisions along the clinical pathway and supports personalized diagnostics and therapy decisions. And the pathway companions, of course, as you can imagine, they will be disease. So there will be one pathway at least for each and every disease. So our overall outlook is with AI, and AI will be the lever to move us from image analytics today, supported by the Red Companion, to disease-specific pathways. This is the Pathway Companion, to what is our vision, the digital twin. And the digital twin of an individual is a lifelong, personalized, physiological model which will be updated with each scan and each exam. Let me talk a little bit in more detail about the whole topic of this digital twin. In healthcare, basically, you could say there are two fundamental questions. The first question is, how am I? The second question is, if I am sick, what is my path to health? How am I basically means, how am I doing when it comes to healthcare? Am I okay? Are all my parameters perfectly fine? Is there a possibility that in the near future I might become sick? And well, maybe you would also like to know how you're doing in 1 year, 2 years, or maybe 5 years. And all those questions are being answered by the digital twin. And in case you are sick, and the question, of course, is what is your pathway back to health? And this is what is being answered by the Pathway Companion. Now, let's have a little bit detailed look at those two fundamental concepts. The digital twin holds all information on how I am with regards to my health. And you can imagine, for example, that you have on your mobile device a digital twin of yourself. And by the way, the digital twin which you see on this slide, the person which you see there, this is our CEO, Bernd Montag of Siemens Healthineers. Of course, we won't have access to all his data here, but just to give you an idea, on the left-hand side, you see what kind of information will be there about the individual, the electronic health record, all information from imaging, informations from laboratory diagnostics, genetics, and also animations like what you see on the top left of the screen on the mobile phone, the heart, how it's working, how it's pumping. And in principle, the idea of the digital twin is to also be able in a position to ensure that people stay healthy. If you think about, I mean, we are using the term healthcare today, but it's not, well, I would not necessarily call it healthcare. It's more, let's say, sick care. That means if somebody has become a patient, then we apply diagnosis, therapy, and all this kind of things, and hopefully try to find a cure and make sure that this person becomes healthy again. With the digital twin, we would be in a position that we can really ensure in the long term that somebody stays healthy. But in case somebody, well, you never know, falls sick, then we have the pathway companion. And here's an example for different possibilities or treatments. Here are 3 options, for example, for a specific case, A, B, and C. And the pathway A, for example, says if you start the treatment today, it will be finished after 64 days. And there's a likelihood that 90% that it will be successful. And if you have, let's say, treatment B, it's only 23 days, 55% likelihood that you will be successful, and C, 43 days and 63% likelihood. And with this, I mean, you can also incorporate many, many other parameters like risk and so on and so forth, and then really find the ideal pathway back to health. And to go there, of course, you can imagine that there are a lot of research is required. And the key topics that we are working on for enabling healthcare through digitalization, AI, and more are the business transformation topics, digital twin, the connected health and automation, and the pathway companions. What we do in detail is mentioned below here. So 4 areas where we are focusing at: AI and novel computing, topics like medical analytics, machine intelligence, data mining we are working at. Then, of course, IoT, edge devices, connectivity. So we work on standardized Internet of medical things and machine-to-machine interaction, decentralized processing. I mentioned privacy before as one of the cornerstones for digitalization in healthcare. So cybersecurity is also a very, very important topic. When it comes to medical technologies per se, we work on new scalable sensor solutions and biomedical models. We just recently released the worldwide first photon-counted computing tomography scanner. We work on miniaturized lab technology, integrated detection, and evaluation of biomarkers and specific imaging markers, biomedical simulation models, innovative sensing, and of course also cost-effective solutions. And automation and clinical robotics also is an important topic. So here we have intelligent systems, autonomous devices, clinical imaging robotics, manipulables. And for that, of course, we do work in the areas of cyber physical systems, autonomous system technologies, mechatronics, kinematic subsystems, push-button feature systems, and last but not least, virtual reality and augmented reality, or if you summarize it in one word, then it would be all sorts of different reality. And all this we do, of course, like I mentioned before, to enable healthcare through digitalization and AI and more. But first and foremost, our purpose is we pioneer breakthroughs in healthcare for everyone, everywhere. And that is what we're trying to achieve with AI, with digitalization, with cloud-based solutions, and with the technology we as Siemens Healthineers develop and provide to everyone, everywhere across the globe. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Hoefner, thank you very much for your talking points on the medical technologies front. Really appreciate, and some insights, very interesting ones, through your presentation and the talk. With that, please allow us to ask our delegates to check their scores on leaderboard. Who is where? Please keep checking. If there's any scope left, because just the last few hours to go, you can just augment your scores there by visiting the experience zone, engaging in networking via open tables, or maybe a one-on-one discussion, downloading the digital certificates, filling the feedback forms. And I guess and I assume you know more than me about the platform by now. So with that optimism, allow us to usher in the topic for the panel discussion that's coming up. This will be all about the future of network security. So again, something very, very critical and important, right? We'll be right back on the screens. Stay tuned, please.
Absolutely.